In 1989, there are 15 baseball or baseball-adjacent games released on the Famicom. And a lot of these were from major publishers trying to break into that big baseball market that Namco and Jaleco had. And virtually all of them only get one outing, because even the Famicom can't absorb 15 baseball games in a year. May 19th was SNK's turn to get some of that sweet, sweet baseball cash. And it's actually one of the better put together baseball games we've seen on the system. It's also just about completely forgotten in Japan, even though it got a bit of a following overseas. The big innovation, and put some heavy quotes around that, is that SNK's Baseball Stars allows you to level up your players and team over the course of a season. This is actually something we've seen from quite a few baseball games already, but I also think that SNK's implementation of this is more interesting. Having a better team means more people show up to your games, and having more people show up to your games means that you get more money. And the money is what you use to buy upgrades for players, and possibly purchase some free agents. To even start a season takes a lot of time to set up all the teams and make some players, but you can just jump in immediately with some preset teams. And there are some distinctive ones in Baseball Stars, like this team of all women, who actually do pretty well for themselves. The women's team in earlier Famicom baseball games seem to be included more as a joke, and while these women aren't power hitters, I was doing pretty well even with my lack of practice. The pitching works just like you'd expect, but I noticed that the fielding has some things that are improvements and some things that are worse. Your fielders are really good at getting to the general vicinity of the ball. It actually makes catching pop flies a reasonable thing to occur. The problem for me was that with ground balls, I would suddenly switch who I was controlling. I'm closing in on that rolling ball, and suddenly I can't go any further, and I have to get the outfielder to run all the way over to it. It's not the worst thing ever, but just a little bit more flexibility in the fielding would have gone a long way. I also noticed that the field seemed to be scaled appropriately. We've been seeing a lot of Famicom baseball games lately where the field seems to be shrunken down so everyone can run bases at high speed. I think it actually makes the game scores lower because taking a base is tough. Unless you knock that ball right in the pocket, you're not getting on base. And a double is right out of the question. Obviously, you can't play an entire season in one sitting, so Baseball Stars has a battery save built into it. And despite what some people claim on the internet, it is not the first baseball game with a battery save. We've already seen about a half dozen of those on the Famicom. Although Baseball Stars was very popular in the US, it kind of vanished without a trace in Japan. I think there was just too much competition for those baseball games there, so even a good one couldn't cut it. However, SNK doesn't let it die here. Although there are no more Baseball Stars games on the Famicom, they take the sequels to their own console, and the 1990 version of Baseball Stars gets released on the Neo Geo. Baseball Stars on the Famicom is in the upper tier of the baseball games we've seen. I think it plays better than most, and I think the League mode is better implemented, even though I didn't get to show it off too much. But it's still just 8-bit baseball. Even if you have nostalgia for it, it's kind of unlikely that you'll want to go back to it.